ceasefire is not an option right now, is to release all of these hostages. 240 hostages need to be released immediately, is to make sure that Hamas can never act again.
Well, it's a month to the deadly terror attack that happened on October 7 in Israel by Hamas. We see around me are the pictures of all the hostages out there of the Israel and different country people that are being, as written, kidnapped by Hamas, as we are right now in Israel embassy, and this particular photos are of those people who are somewhere hostages by Hamas. How and in which way, in this very particular 1 month, things have changed, the things what they appear to be, and what is the real context to that about everything now. I'm joined by a spokesperson from Israel embassy, Mr. Guy Neer, with me. Sir, today is we see that it's 35th day of October 7, the deadly attack that happened in Israel. We are right now surrounded by the pictures of the hostages out there. Currently, at this very particular moment, what is the real current scenario with respect to the number of killed and number of injured and number of hostages right now?
So right now we are looking at about 1,400 Israeli citizens that have been killed. We are talking of approximately 240 kidnapped people, both from Israel and, as you mentioned, from other countries around the globe. We need to stress that this is against any international law. Kidnapping of people this amount, and any people, but kidnapping this amount is against any international law, and we deserve our people to be released immediately.
Well, Mr. Guy, right now looking at the whole scenario all across the globe, there's a lot of pressure that's coming from different, countries, and it's about peace talks. One, when is ceasefire expected?
Okay, so I think the people who are speaking about ceasefire are not really understanding the full scope of this event. If you right now had a similar attack on India, if right now thousands of people would come into India and butcher thousands of Indians, would you give a ceasefire? No, you would make sure that the terrorists that infiltrated your country are stopped forever. Ceasefire is not an option right now because we still have the danger of this enemy on the other side of the border. We first have to make sure that there is no option in the future ever for them to do what they did ever again. And then we can talk about ceasefire.
So, what will be end like? What is an end that you foresee, and what you call it as the end to what, as an answer to the October 7th?
So we were given from the cabinet two major goals. One is to release all of these hostages. 240 hostages need to be released immediately. The second one is to make sure that Hamas can never act again. And that means to eliminate their capabilities. Once these two objectives have been met, we can talk about ceasefire, we can talk about ending the war.
Recently, in fact, it was last evening or so, we had seen that there was a call that came up wherein people over here, like Gaza and otherwise, they all are saying that how there have been airstrikes near hospitals. How and in which way you respond to that? Because there is also a chorus about several crises. You talk about humanitarian crisis, you talk about the other crisis in that very particular area.
Okay, so I ask you, why are there bombing around hospitals? And the answer is very simple, and we have shown proof of this over the internet over the last month. Hamas is using the hospitals as shield for their base. So when Israel is bombing, we're not bombing at hospital. We don't want to get innocent civilians killed. We're bombing at the infrastructure of Hamas that is lying underneath the hospital. We need to eliminate Hamas. Hamas happens to be underneath the hospital, so we need to eliminate Hamas. And for that, we need to eliminate whatever underneath the hospital. We're not focusing on the hospital. We're asking the people to move away down south so they don't get injured. We have Israeli army troops, who are helping them go down south so they don't get hurt. But we are focusing our attack on what's underneath the hospital. And we've been doing that ever since the beginning.
There's a call also about shrinking economy, especially with respect to the Palestinian side. How do you see? Because there has been a very big shrunk. It seems the UN has come out with a report of 4% shrunk over there in that particular economy. How and in which way you talk about the same? Because it has been a kind of loss all across. At the end, it's humanity that is somewhere losing on ground, is what people come out and say.
First of all, we see anywhere across the world, whenever there's a conflicts that the economy is taking a strike. We know this, but we need to look at what happened prior to October 7th. Okay, in October 6th, there was ceasefire. There was no attack. In October 5th, tens of thousands of Gazan citizens would come to Israel daily to work, and they would bring back good salaries to the Gazan population. We saw this as a way to strengthen the economy in Gaza, because we wanted Gaza to be independent, so they're not relying on us. We allowed tens of thousands of Gazans every day to enter Israel to strengthen the economy. So right now, if they're having problems with the economy, we have only one where to put the blaming finger, and that is Hamas. Hamas is causing this. Their people were making good money in October 6th, October 5th, October 4th, coming into Israel. Now they can't. The loss in economy-wise is totally on Hamas's hands.
How do you foresee future of Gaza? Because there were certain talks about how it is Palestinian Authority that should take a control over it. How and in which way you foresee? In fact, last night it's Mr. Netanyahu who has also come out and gave his kind of expression. It's not about having a control, but then something else in the pipeline.
Okay, so Israel doesn't want to occupy Gaza, doesn't want to control Gaza, doesn't want to dictate who is ruling Gaza. We want peace and quiet from Gaza. We can't allow Hamas to go back to power. If the Palestinian Authority can take the responsibility of what's happening in Gaza and manage both the West Bank and Gaza, so be it. But they need to have a responsible body that is taking care of the civilians and the area, both of the West Bank and of Gaza. Israel does not want to go into Gaza or to take care of its internal politics. They should do it by themselves, as long as it's not a terror organization.
Well, Mr. Kai, it's Israel who has come out and said that it's Iran who is the backbone of Hamas, or tried to give all kind of support and played a role of catalyst to go ahead and attack on October 7. But Iran has come out and somewhere said that they have no hands to in this. One, they also add on to say that they all are independent organizations. I mean, they have done on its own. There is no hands. How do you look at this?
Very easily. Iran is lying. Iran, for the last many years, have been funding these organizations, have been training these organizations, have been the backwind for these organizations. If they're saying right now that they don't know how these organizations have all started to attack Israel, that's a lot of crap. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want the finger to be pointed at them, but they are the ones who have been funding them and training them for all these years. This is 100% responsibility of Iran. They might not know that Hamas planned on this specific day, but Hamas wouldn't have been able to plan any attack at all if it didn't get all the billions of dollars of finance from Iran and the training. Come on, they're lying, like we've seen terror organizations throughout the region lie. It's nothing new.
As we speak, 2+2 is, underway right now between India and US. How and in which way you see there is an expectation about talk of Israel and Hamas, a war that is happening or the kind of conflict that has come up. What are your expectations when you see two countries coming together, speaking on the same, and also your take on respectively both the countries?
Okay, so we're talking about two countries that are huge allies of Israel, right? From many years back, we have seen great collaborations and us having each other's back. Looking at this 2+2 event, we know that both sides want to help Israel find a way to eliminate these threats. We hope that they continue to strengthen and have our back and support us in this way to make sure that this threat is eliminated and we don't have to deal with terrorists in our borders again.
Your take on India, because India has been pushing for peace talks and two-state solution is what they have come out and said. And also, while from your side, the message has been conveyed to India about calling out Hamas as a terrorist organization also, things are yet not, on path.
Yes, yes, these things take time. India has, Prime Minister Modi from day one has condemned the acts of October 7, and we highly appreciate it from him on the fourth day after he spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu. So I think that the situation is India sees and understands the situation right now in Israel. The request for a ceasefire, for a peace, for a two-state solution, that's all great and good, and will be after we reach the two objectives that we got from a cabinet: returning our kidnapped and eliminating Hamas. We can talk about ceasefire, we can talk about two-state solution, we can talk about anything. We want peace. I remind you that October 6th, there was a ceasefire. There was no war. Who started this war? Hamas. When they came into our country and they butchered 1,400 of our civilians. Now we need to eradicate them. We didn't start this war, but we're going to make sure that this war finishes and we're not going to have any more wars like this in the future.
Over here, Mr. Gai, right now, as we speak, today we are celebrating Diwali in India. How and in which way you give a message on Diwali? Certainly, there's a hope of light and peace all across the globe. But then, as we see all these pictures, if you can just also throw some of the scary stories of one or two people, if you can, because I'm seeing some kids also and some senior citizens as well.
So I will give two examples, if I may. This woman, Shoshan, was an amazing influencer on Mashav. I'm sure you know Mashav. We have 30 excellent centers of excellence in India, and she is very well known in our Mashav. Excellence Center, primarily in Africa, but all over the world. She has made such a change in bringing food to places where there's no food, and she was unfortunately one of the people who was bringing good to the world and was kidnapped. Another story is we see here Kfir, who was 9 months old when he was captive. Now he's 10 months old, and he is captive without his family. And it's just a horrible situation. People are calling Hamas freedom fighters. I don't see how kidnapping a 9-month-old baby, taking him away from his parents, is freedom. If anyone's child around the world was kidnapped at 9 months old, they would do everything they can to bring the child back. And I don't see how freedom fighter is a word that is even relevant. You said about Diwali. In Diwali, I know that you light diyas, right? To bring back Lord Rams.
Yeah.
Lord Rams. Yeah, so to bring them back, so you light the diya. We're asking the people of India to light another diya with us over this holiday, light a diya of hope to bring back our people so that they can be reunited with their families and not have to live in such horrible circumstances in captivity.
Certainly, the stories are horrifying. The stories are scary. As you see behind me are different pictures of hostages, and that is certainly not a good story to tell at humanitarian level. But then, yes, what we expect this time around in the Diwali is that the message of humanity that exists, peace that exists, and as Mr. Gainer expects all of us to share a diya of hope and light, as things are certainly not so good and the way it should be ideally on humanitarian grounds. From Delhi, with video journalist Amit Rawat, I'm Urvashi Khona for The New Indian.
For such fine news breaks and video features from ground on your mobile phones, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, The New Indian, by clicking on the bell icon. Also, follow us on the social media handles on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Coup.